Okay, today I'm going to show you how to modify your side swipes and Dodge Vipers so that they look, much more lean and have better articulation than like this, with just a bunch of crap hanging off the back. The first thing you probably notice is the chest. There's not a whole lot to this part. He's actually facing backwards. And what I've done, on this one I've already taken the screws out. On the stock version, this gap here is filled. So what you want to do is take the screws out and take the rear end off, and then turn it over and lay it on a vise and hammer this pin out, and then Dremel out or cut out this bit here with the Dremel so that it can fold backward like that. And then it can collapse and make a better looking chest. And I've got the legs turned around this way for a reason. And if I can get him to stand still. See, side swipe has knees, but they're blocked from bending all the way back because part of the car is in the way. And instead of just simply turning his knees this way, you can actually do that and have the figure stand up because of the way that the ankles are mounted inside the leg. Now what I've done on this one is I've modified these little ball joints on the ankles to bend backwards a bit. And I'll just draw this. See, the inside of Sideswipe's ankle looks a bit like this, with the pin going in the middle, and it turns this way. What you want to do is shave off this so it can keep turning the other way. So on this side swipe, the ankle bends both ways. So that way the foot can rotate backward and you can get him to stand like that, and then use this joint as a knee. And that chest is about to come off. And the other bit that I've done is to take the hood of the car off and make it detachable. To get this out, there are 2 screws on the back of the waist that you need to take out, and then the waist comes apart, and then the legs fall out, and then what you're left is this little black piece, with the hood mounted on it with a pin. And this is a really awkward pin to get out. So you'll need a pick and a hammer to do so. But once you get it apart, what I've done is taken this piece. It actually looks it's actually mounted this way, and what I've done is taken it out and turned this little black piece around and turned it the other way, and then cut a groove for the thumb in it about right there. So then Sideswipe, or which other Viper you have planned, can then hold the shield too and be able to use the otherwise useless hood of the car. It looks much better as a shield than it does a cape. And the only different technique that you have to do to work with the Sunstreaker version is in the chest. What it looks like on Sunstreaker is there's on the Vinyl-Tech it's painted black, and on the plastic one it's just solid yellow. What you need to do is, again, take the screws out, hammer this pin out so you can get to that joint, and cut out this part here so then the chest, you know, can rotate all the way back. And then the additional step you need to do is to take a Dremel and then cut out this entire area underneath what forms the top of the trunk. And then take the Dremel and then shave off this connector under the window, as I've done on this one. And then I've glued the window to the front of the windshield. And like on this one, I've also made the hood detach, and it just sits right back in there. So then it's a much leaner look. And as for whether or not these modifications affect transformation, they do not, because it's actually a little simpler. It affects Sunstreaker more than it does Sideswipe, but it still does not make a noticeable impact. As you can tell, that's the lion's share of it, and then this piece simply folds back on top of the doors and then meets up with the roof. And as you can tell, it doesn't really make any bit of difference, except you can see Sunstreaker's old noggin underneath the window, and that's the only difference it makes. And as for whether you can still raise the hoods of the car, let me get this fellow entirely back together. Looks about like that, and even with the piece turned around, the joint is tight enough that the hood fits in there fine, and with a little bit of shenanigans still even stays open, even without the pin mounted in it. And that's the simple trick to the Viper mods. They're not very hard, but you do need a rotary tool to make the cuts here and in the ankles, and if you want it to be able to use the hood of the car as a shield, you have to cut a groove into that piece in order for the thumb to fit into. And that's all you need to do. So have fun, good luck.